Welcome to Real Talk. I'm Matt. You spell that with 2 T's. Today, we're talking about something very interesting. But first, how you guys all doing out there? You can leave a comment right down below. You can say, good, thanks, if you want. I like kicking it off on a positive note. Today, it's really good weather. Hope you guys also have really good weather. Here, let me take a picture. The blue skies. Great weather today. You really start to appreciate it when you're in the fog for a while. This is a super interesting topic because it explains a couple of random things that you never really think about, or you might not. Maybe you do. I do, actually. Hence the video. So I want to talk about the frequency of different letters in German and English, or all the letters, the whole alphabet. In practicing typing, which I've talked about already on this channel, I've been practicing typing, and the keyboards between German and English are a little bit different, and that is due to this frequency of letters in the language. And when we're talking about pronunciation and just training, it's important to see that there are certain sounds that are going to be more common in your target language. Q, for example, it's just not a commonly used letter. And I always mess it up when I type it, because you go with the pinky. If you have to do a capital Q, you do the shift on the one finger, you hit shift with your pinky, and then you go up to the pinky to the Q on the other. I've done the honor of creating a little bit of a table and a presentation here, not a big presentation or anything, but this data is on the internet. It's just not presented in a way that I find easy to compare. So we've got the numbers up here, and you can look at it either alphabetically or sorted by frequency. And first of all, if you sort it by frequency in both languages, E is the most frequent number. E is the most frequent letter. E is 12.7% of all letters used in a text in English, and in German even more than that. Almost 17% of all the letters in any given book or text are going to be E. Now if we compare just the charts here, I have on the left, all the way to the left, this is sorted alphabetically, which doesn't really give you too much information. So if you look at the English sorted by frequency, this is the sorting in English. So that's why the blue is English, and that continuously goes down to the right. But if you see in the background there, these green spikes, that's German on that same corresponding letter, and you see a much higher frequency. Take a look down here at Z, or Z, depending on where you're from. This letter is in a different position on the keyboard, and it's because it's dramatically less used in English than in German. Look at German is green here, and it's way more than the English. And meanwhile, if you look over here on the German version, sorted by frequency for the German language, Y or Ypsilon, it's much more frequent in English. In German, it's barely ever used. So it gets put over where Z is. The Z and the Y, or the Ypsilon, Z, and I don't know. I don't know what your favorite way of saying these letters' names are, but as an American, we call it Z and Y. Why we call it that? I don't know. Those letters switch places. And it's really, really confusing when you're using those letters, which admittedly aren't too frequent. If you look over here where it's sorted by alphabetic order, they are relatively infrequent letters. Not as much as X. X is very, very rare. And the umlauts. Umlauts are also pretty rare, relative. So in English, you don't see J's very much. J's and X's and Q's are some of the least used letters. And in German, J's, X's, Q's all very infrequent, but Ys as well. You don't see very many Ys in German. And when you do, it's a very versatile letter. But I want to talk about some of the tips now, just like how to practice. When you're learning German, if you're an English native speaker, start over here by the E's and the N's and the R's. Look at how frequent R comes up in German. R is a very troublesome letter for a lot of Americans. And if you don't practice deliberately, they say you just find it difficult and you start practicing it very infrequently. You're down here on the frequency of your practicing, but it doesn't correspond to the frequency of the letter. What's the difference between just E in English and E in German? This is kind of a weird one because E in English and E in German aren't so dissimilar like the R. I'll give you the example of the R. R in English, R in German. You can kind of tell, no matter what your language ability is, that was a pretty big difference. But the difference between E in German and E in English, it's a lot subtler. So, first of all, the name is E in English and the name is A in German. So let's just try and, hold on, I gotta think of an example. All right, this is a good one because the word is the same in English and German. So you have the word for end, the opposite of start, the opposite of begin. End in English, end, and ende in German. That's the word, ende. And you can kind of hear at the beginning sounds exactly the same. End, ende. But that ende ends in another E. Now, how do you pronounce that? If you were going to do it in English, you'd say enda, enda. But it doesn't end this word. Enda, enda. Wrong. So this word, pronounced in German, is ende. You hear the difference in this E? Probably not. If you can't, that's why you should probably be practicing it, because it is extremely common. All right, that's all. That's pretty much all I wanted to say about E. So we'll just do a repeat there. You got ende, ende, ende. N. Is N the exact same pronunciation in English and German? If so, we can probably skip over practicing it. Take this word, which means to drive. If you were to pronounce it with an American accent, you'd say fahren, fahren. It kind of sounds like foreign. Fahren. In German, it's fahren. 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 I would skip N. It's pretty much the exact same. Same thing if you're learning English and you're a German native speaker. Is I really the exact same? It's similar for sure. If you were to say this word, which means I, in English, with the English pronunciation, it would be, well, the CH. Say you knew how to pronounce the CH. No, say you didn't know how to pronounce it. Ish, itch, itch. Greenwich, Greenwich, itch. In German, at least where I am, in Ulm, I pronounce it not itch, I pronounce it ich. So that I sounds more like an E. And the name of the I is E. So if you're pronouncing it, say you're a German and you move to Greenwich, Connecticut, or New Greenwich, Rhode Island, I don't know where you moved to, but say it ends in ICH and you pronounce it Greenwich, it's wrong. It should be Greenwich, Greenwich. And in German, if you're saying the word for I, you're saying ich, not ich or ich. Hold on, wait. Is that the same? Ich, 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 ich. Both of those are acceptable. Don't get too caught up in this. All I'm saying is, check out this Häufigkeit, check out this frequency, and use that to help you figure out exactly what the most important things to work on are. And that's how you kind of do it when you're practicing typing as well. It's like, well, I don't need to practice Z as much, but I know because I don't practice it as much, I'm not as good at it. It's just like, once you've gotten good at typing the letters, it's like, oh yeah, then I have to do all the punctuation marks too. So, yeah, those are less frequent than the letters themselves, but those are also the places where you're going to have the least practice and you're going to make the most mistakes due to that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. I thought it was interesting because it's touching my life in more than one place. It's on the keyboard here where I'm practicing typing, and it's just a reflection of what you practice and what you practice most and least in your new language as well. That's it for this video. Realtalk is a language learning app. Right now we're working on development. Actually, I was just doing the, where is that? Screen recording still going. Been working on the user interface here in Affinity Designer. If anyone has an affinity for such a thing, contact me. It's always good to work with other people if other people are interested in the project. This is going to be the back end so that we can create content more efficiently. It's a lot of fun. All right, see you next time. Peace.